The geopolitical landscape of the 21st century is undergoing a fundamental shift. The post-Cold War era of unipolarity is giving way to a more complex and multipolar world. This transformation is driven by the rise of new centers of economic and political power, particularly in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Two groups stand out as key players, the BRICS and the G7. The BRICS nations Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates represent a formidable economic bloc with a distinct vision for global development. The G7, comprising Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States, has long been the dominant force in shaping global agendas. The relationship between these two groups is complex, marked by both cooperation and competition. As the BRICS nations continue their ascent, they challenge the established norms and institutions of the global order. This dynamic creates both opportunities and challenges for global governance. Understanding the unique contributions, strengths, and limitations of both groups is essential for navigating this new multipolar world. The BRICS nations represent a diverse group of countries with distinct histories, cultures, and political systems. However, they are united by a common desire to promote a more equitable and multipolar world order. The BRICS nations have emerged as powerful engines of global economic growth in recent decades. Their combined economic output now rivals that of the G7, and they are playing an increasingly important role in shaping global trade and investment patterns. Beyond their economic clout, the BRICS nations are also making significant contributions to global development. The new development bank, established by the BRICS nations in 2014, provides an alternative source of funding for infrastructure projects in developing countries. Unlike traditional development institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, the new development bank is seen as more responsive to the needs of developing nations. The BRICS nations are also pioneering new approaches to South-South cooperation, fostering economic and technological partnerships among developing countries. This focus on South-South cooperation is a key pillar of their vision for a more equitable global order. Led by China, the BRICS nations are increasingly conducting trade and investment in their own currencies, reducing reliance on the US dollar. The G7 has played a pivotal role in shaping the global order since its inception in the 1970s. Its member nations have been at the forefront of global economic and technological development, wielding significant influence over international institutions and norms. However, the G7's legitimacy and effectiveness are being challenged in a more multipolar world. Critics argue that the G7 is too narrowly focused on the interests of its member nations and does not adequately represent the voices of developing countries. The G7's ability to address global challenges is also hampered by internal divisions and a lack of consensus on key issues. Despite these challenges, the G7 remains an important forum for dialogue and cooperation among the world's leading economies. For the G7 to remain relevant and effective, it needs to adapt to the changing realities of a multipolar world. The promise of a multipolar world: cooperation and competition. The transition to a multipolar world is not without its challenges. The rise of new powers inevitably creates friction as existing powers adjust to a less dominant role. However, a multipolar world also holds the promise of greater peace and prosperity. A multipolar system can foster greater competition among nations, leading to innovation and economic growth. It can also create more opportunities for cooperation as countries seek to address shared challenges. In a multipolar world, no single country or bloc can dictate the terms of global engagement. The key to realizing the promise of a multipolar world lies in fostering cooperation and managing competition responsibly. Towards a shared future: navigating the complexities of global governance. The relationship between the BRICS and the G7 will be crucial in shaping the contours of the emerging multipolar world. While competition between these two groups is inevitable, it need not be zero-sum. There is significant scope for cooperation on a range of global challenges, from climate change and pandemic preparedness to cybersecurity and nuclear non-proliferation. Dialogue and engagement are essential for building trust and identifying areas of common ground. Both the BRICS and the G7 have a responsibility to approach this dialogue with a spirit of openness and a willingness to compromise. By embracing cooperation and managing competition responsibly, we can harness the potential of this new era to create a more peaceful, prosperous, and equitable world for all.